What's up, guys? My name is Zach, and this week I've been driving the 2023 Honda Pilot TrailSport. Up front is a 3.5 liter V6, and down below is a 10-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be making this video because I've actually filmed almost this exact vehicle before on my channel. But for those of you unaware, in my normal videos, I normally drive the car for about an hour, maybe 2 hours, give my immediate thoughts and reactions, and move on with my day. Well, that's not the case with this particular TrailSport. I have used this as my personal vehicle for the last 7 days. Honda has been very kind to loan it to me for that time period, and so we're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive on how this vehicle performs in everyday life, as well as we do actually take it on a little adventure, which I'm excited to share with you all. But if you would like to share your vehicle with me, you can head on over to my website, zackprato.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form, takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 3.5 liter V6, making 285 horsepower. Well, it is a J Series V6, and what that means is it comes from the J family of Honda engines, which they've been using since the late 1990s. Of course, they've added variable valve timing, they've done different efficiency upgrades, but the big benefit is that this is a well worked over engine, and so any major problems that were going to come up with it happened nearly 2 decades ago. So it's a very stout, very reliable engine, and I have to say that I'm pretty happy with the amount of power given to this generation of Pilot. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 10-speed automatic transmission. And that's another big up for the Honda Pilot, because a lot of Honda's other products use CVTs, and I'm just not a personal fan of CVTs. And so I like seeing that tried and true 10-speed. To me, that gives me better peace of mind, and I really like it. Last but not least, this particular Honda Pilot is all-wheel drive. However, you can option them in 2-wheel drive, and that does lower the towing capacity. So the all-wheel drive models get a 5,000-pound towing capacity, while the 2-wheel drive models only get 3,500 pounds. So how does it feel to drive the Honda Pilot TrailSport? Well, the TrailSport package does get bigger, beefier tires, different wheels, about an inch of ground clearance, steel underbody protection for the engine and gas tank, sturdier recovery hooks, so if you do get stuck in the mud, you could pull it out a couple different ways, which is really nice. And all of that together, I really thought was going to add to a more rough and tumble driving feel while on the road. This is 100% not the case. And as a matter of fact, the bigger tires actually add a cushier road feel. This car is very soft. It's rounded at the edges, which is very, very nice to feel. And we'll talk more about that in my final thoughts segment, but it is a plush and comfortable ride. The road noise isn't too loud. Visibility out the front is great. And I do have a 360 camera to help out with the back. So again, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But the driving experience is very, very good. Fuel economy. Over my 300 miles of driving, I have averaged 17.6 miles to the gallon. Now, I did take it on the highway and I got around 24, 25 miles to the gallon for that trip, but around town, mostly city driving, I've been getting 17.6 miles to the gallon. Can't say I'm in love with that number, but for a bigger vehicle, it kind of comes with the territory. Now, something I normally don't talk about because I don't know a whole lot is the safety of a vehicle. However, back in May, I actually went to a Honda-sponsored dinner and sat through a presentation about the new Honda Pilot safety systems. And getting to sit in a crashed Honda Pilot really opened my eyes. They took this vehicle very seriously. And so the men and women over in Ohio, where this vehicle was designed and is built, they really, really put safety up at the top of their list. And so as you can see here in their crash test, the green is the acceptable amount, yellow is okay, and red is dangerous. and you could see how well this vehicle performed in those crash tests, which just gives me peace of mind. I drove this car through several pretty bad storms. I don't usually talk about it, but I usually give nicknames to the press cars that I have. I nicknamed this car Stormbreaker because in the time that I had it, 2 tornadoes touched down in my area, and I drove it through several hard rainstorms, and for the first time in my life, I was driving while the air raid sirens were going off. And I didn't have a single worry in the world when it came to the Honda Pilot. I knew that I was going to be safe. I knew that Honda's safety systems were going to work in my favor and keep me, and at the time my girlfriend, safe on the roads while we traveled home to shelter in place. If safety is a concern of yours, don't look any further than the Honda Pilot. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a mix of digital and physical gauges, similar to what you would find in the Honda CR-V. Off to the left, this is my digital gauge, so I can swap this around, give me some different information. I'd be lying if I said I looked at anything besides the average fuel economy gauge the entire time that I had it, but you do get some other information if you would like it. Off to the right, we have our physical speedometer, and in the center, I get my speed and digits, odometer, and what drive mode I'm in. So speaking of which, we do have several drive modes we can select. Now, bear with me, there is going to be some beeping in the background, but we have Sport, Normal, Econ, Snow, Trail, Sand, and Tow, of which I love all of the images you can see here that come up when you do switch the modes. I just like that nice little touch that Honda did. They didn't have to do it. They could have just left the text up on the screen, but it adds a little bit of flair. On the steering wheel, on the left, I have my skip track, volume, and home button, as well as my scroll wheel for that digital screen. And off to the right, I have my adaptive cruise control options. So this does have Honda sensing, as well as steering assist. And using it on the highway, I was a pretty big fan. It worked well in most scenarios, and I don't have any major notes. The steering wheel is also heated, and the overall feel is nice. The TrailSport gets a orange stitching around the steering wheel, which is a touch that I really like. Off to the left, I have a climate control vent. I have my rear tailgate button, heated windshield wipers, which are fantastic for the snow, and my traction control off button. Moving on to the door, we do have 2 different memory seat options, which I do want to note because this frustrated me at first, but I realized I was just dumb. The memory seat options also link the side mirrors. So when you set your memory seat, it will also save the position that the side mirrors are in. I had to keep adjusting it, and I couldn't figure out why, and once I set my memory seat, they stayed in that position, which is really nice. Speaking of mirrors, we do have power folding mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we do have the infotainment system. It is a touchscreen. It offers wired and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And I personally think that it's very easy to use. I think it's simple. I think it's straightforward. And you do get this one fun app, there's always one, that is called Cabin Talk. So it works as a PA system to amplify the driver's voice throughout the rest of the cabin in case your kids aren't paying attention or you just want to get a stern message across. You can kind of hear that echo, but it does have a limit. If you start to raise your voice, it will automatically shut off. So keep it low, keep it slow. You'll love it. Speaking of apps inside the center console, we do have the Trail Cam. So this has a 360 camera, which was really, really nice for the water crossings that I did take this vehicle through. It is awesome because this vehicle is pretty big, so you do get that extra assistance. And with that being said, I do want to stop the video here for a quick second and just say that the water crossings you see here in this video are state-required water crossings. If you want to get through the park that I was in, you have to cross the water. Please do not drive through rivers or water crossings if they are not regulated or built for that purpose. You don't want to hurt any wildlife or harm any ecosystems in your way. And so I just wanted to put it out there. Any water crossing footage you see in this video was done in the proper way at White Pines Forest State Park. And that is actually a necessity to cross the water in order to get to certain parts of the park. So it looks very cool, but it is also the proper way to do things. Please do not drive through random rivers and hurt wildlife. Anyway, moving down below, we do have the hazard switch and climate control vents, as well as the start button off to the left. And then we have the climate controls. I love the fact that Honda is still doing physical climate controls, unlike their colleagues across the table at Subaru, who have switched to all screen climate controls. I hate that. I like having these physical knobs. It does have heated seats, which I do want to note that when you do turn on the heated seats, if you turn the vehicle off and turn it back on, it will keep your heated seats on, which is just a little detail, but a necessary one in my opinion. I do also get dual zone, and I can control the rear climate controls from here if I'd like, so definitely nice things to see. Then we do get a little cubby, a USB-C and USB-A chargers, fantastic stuff down there, and a 12-volt outlet, so all of your charging and plug-in needs will be met. And then we also have a wireless charger down below. Again, another really nice charging feature to see. Then we move into the center console. Off to the left is the push-button shifter. And this is something that I'm not a very big fan of. The reason for that is because I think it's laid out a little weird. I always want to hit the reverse button when I'm trying to put it into drive. I feel like that's like a go button. You know, you push it back like you're engaging thrusters, but it's actually reverse. So there have been a couple times where I'll pull out of the driveway or start the car, hit it, and think I'm in drive, but I'm actually in reverse. It's a push button shifter. It's fine. It's just, I don't know. I don't really love it. Down below that, we do get our drive mode select off to the left. Like I said, we have all those fantastic drive modes. Then we have the automatic start stop on and off and our hill descent control button. The automatic start stop is actually pretty good in this car because if you are using the climate controls, it won't turn off. If the vehicle isn't warm enough, it won't turn off. It really only turns off when it needs to. So it's a pretty smart system that I've enjoyed. Off to the right, we do have the power parking brake and brake hold. And then we have our cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the 2023 Honda Pilot TrailSport. And just like the other one I reviewed, it does in fact pass. Honda is one of the most mindful manufacturers when it comes to their cup holders, and so they tend to pass more often than not. Then we do get a giant center console. Nothing really interesting in there, but definitely some nice cubby space. And then we gotta talk about the seats. The seats are heated, power, and memory. Pretty much anything I would want from a vehicle at this price point and of this stature. They've been pretty comfortable, and they do have pretty helpful lumbar support too, which has been a absolute joy to use over the last 7 days. However, speaking of seats, we do have 2 more rows of seating, so let's go do some back seat reviews. All right, so we're in the second row of the Honda Pilot TrailSport from 2023. A couple of things to note. First of all, knee room is good and headroom is good. We do get to enjoy this sky roof, which is fantastic. I do get my own climate controls back here, as well as a wall outlet and 2 USB-A chargers. And like I mentioned, we do get those captain's chairs, but again, you can option your Honda Pilot to have a bench seat. I also do get these window shades built in, which is very, very nice if you have a kid, or if you just don't want the sun on your face. I mean, heaven forbid, you just want to be comfortable. So you do get very nice shades in the doors. But let's hop into the third row and take a look from back there. All right, so we're in the very back of the Honda Pilot TrailSport, the third row, and I do have USB-A chargers on either side of this as well. So you are going to be charged up in the Honda Pilot, and that is really, really nice to see. Knee room isn't great. However, these seats can be moved forward, and these are them in their farthest back position. So I'm fine. I could exist back here. It's not going to be super pleasurable unless they move those seats up, which then starts to cramp their seating position. And here's the thing. Honda still makes the Odyssey. And I know a lot of you are like, oh, minivans are lame. The Honda Odyssey is still one of the best third row products on the market. So if you're looking for third row use, you're going to use the third row a lot, please buy a Honda Odyssey. Check your ego at the door. Oh, I don't want to have a minivan, but they work. It's like not wanting a screwdriver to unscrew something. Oh, I want to use a hammer to unscrew it. Well, they make a product for that. That's fantastic. It's called the minivan. It's great. Please buy one. So please look at the Honda Odyssey if third rows are a priority to you. That being said, this isn't the worst third row I've ever been in. It's fine. It does the job. My knees will just be a tiny bit sore. Let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the Honda Pilot TrailSport, and we do have a button here on the key fob to open up the rear tailgate. Once we are back here, as you can see, the third row is up because we just did the third row. And the third row does recline, so if you do want to recline it, you can pull it back, pop these back up. So now your third row actually does get a little bit more space. However, push it like that, back and push. There you go. And now you have tons of cargo space, and you can come down here and open it up for even more storage, and you get the spare tire even down below that. You also do get a 12-volt outlet over there. You get some pocket cubbies, and it appears as though you can unlock this. Oh, your tools are found down there. Very cool interior packaging from Honda. Keep it out of the way. Very cool stuff, and we can come up here, and it says hold to set height. So if you have a really short garage, say if it's open this high, it'll hit it, you can actually pull it down to about here, and then you can hold this to set its maximum height. So then whenever it opens, it will only open this high, so you don't knock your garage or hit an opening or something like that. So very, very cool. However, once it is all the way up, hit it once and it will power close, which is a fantastic, really nice feature out of the Honda Pilot TrailSport. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is a completely redesigned Honda Pilot for 2023. This is finished in Sonic Gray Pearl, and I really like the look of it. I also really love the ruggedness that has been added for the TrailSport packages. Like I said, those chunkier tires, TrailSport specific wheels, body cladding, things like that. I think overall it actually makes up a very good and very handsome product. However, like I mentioned earlier, this is a rather big vehicle, something that somewhat surprised me. And so I pulled it up next to my brother's Dodge Durango, which is a vehicle I always make fun of for being very large, and this looks bigger. This is not a small vehicle and almost starts to dwarf the almighty Dodge Durango. So kind of impressive there. This vehicle is big. So just something to note, if you're coming from a Civic to a Pilot, it might take a little bit of adjustment. But now, with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Honda Pilot TrailSport for 7 full days? Well, it's been a pretty enjoyable experience. Driving this vehicle around, that cushy ride really relaxes you and takes the sort of edge out of driving through Midwestern traffic. The only real downsides or complaints that I've had have been the shifter, which just takes some getting used to and is not a bad thing in the world, and the size. There's been a couple of drive-thrus, couple of entry points that I've driven through where I thought, it's a little bigger than comfortable. But again, that's the sort of caliber of vehicle that you're getting into. I can make the same complaint about a Mazda Miata being too small, but you kind of sign up for that when you buy one. However, given the fact that this is the TrailSport, I decided to take it on a little bit of a day trip, and here are my findings. So I drove 90 miles each way to this White Pines State Park in Illinois. Unfortunately, we don't have any national parks in our area, and so I did this for 2 reasons. First of all, I wanted to see how this thing would handle on the highway. It took me about an hour and a half to get here, and through my findings, it's actually very comfortable on the highway. I wasn't really expecting that because of the chunkier tires, because of how big it is. I was expecting a lot of wind noise. I was expecting a lot of tire noise. And if you have any music on at any volume or have a conversation, you're not going to hear the tires. And actually, they ended up benefiting the ride because they do have a higher sidewall than the standard Honda Pilot tires. It's actually a cushier ride. Think of sleeping on a cot versus sleeping on a memory foam mattress. So these tires, when I said in my previous review that I thought that they were going to be kind of worrisome and noisy, it's actually not the case at all. In doing so on the highway, I got about 24.7 miles to the gallon throughout the trip, and that was averaging around 65 miles an hour. I hit a pretty gnarly rainstorm, which slowed me down. So I'd say between 60 and 65, expect around 24.7 miles to the gallon. But once I got here, how did it handle the actual adventure side? It did it
in an absolute breeze. As you can see, it was fording water, going across the water crossings, taking on nature with no sweat off of its back. I definitely will be using the all-weather floor mats. As you can see, I completely ruined my brand new walking shoes, which I'm so happy about. But the floor mats will help out with that. And a question is raised. Could you have done all of this in the regular Honda Pilot? Yeah. Could you do this in most cars? Yes, but it brings up the argument of, can you cook a hamburger in the microwave? Yes, you can, but it's better on the grill. And so, taking a little adventure today on my day off is possible in a lot of different vehicles, but it was made a little bit better with the Honda Pilot TrailSport.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Honda for sending me this vehicle for 7 days. Honda has been awesome to work with, and I've really enjoyed getting to know their product a lot better. Another huge shout out, of course, to Drive Shop for the logistics and the Midwestern Automotive Media Association for connecting the dots to make this review possible. They are awesome. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.